everybody. I'm struggling with this microphone. Hi, I'm Dima Papa, CEO of Invio. So before Invio, I was a clinical project manager, and I ran a bunch of multi-hospital research studies. I'm seeing a lot of blank looks, so I'm guessing that a lot of you don't know much about clinical trials. But I'll start by saying that this was a really unique opportunity for me because I don't have a software background, but I had a chance with Invio to switch to doing something to build a tool that I wish I had when I was working in that space. So let's back up a sec. What is a clinical trial? And I'm glad you guys are all warmed up because this is like right into audience participation. But is it a legal proceeding in which a doctor is part of it? Or is it testing to determine if a new medicine or a new device is safe? Or is it a way to show that that treatment works? Show of hands. If you think it's A, crime drama? No? Okay. One guy. B, we're testing safety. Okay, hands are coming up. C, we're looking for effectiveness. Ooh, okay. Actually, you guys should feel pretty good about yourselves because it's B and C. FDA is very interested in both safety and efficacy. Actually, the example I like to give on this one is there's a lot of guys in the room, so I'll say, let's think about baldness versus cancer. When the FDA is thinking about approving a drug, they're going to look at how effective is that in treating the condition it's treating, and they're looking at what are the side effects related to that. So for a lifestyle thing like male pattern baldness, if your fingernails fall off, they're not going to approve that drug. Let's be real. Now, if it's cancer and you could die from this disease, then you're throwing up every morning, they might actually say, okay, yeah, on the benefit of risk or basis of risk benefit, we'll get a pass on that. So that's what clinical trials are about. But there's a problem with it. I mean, that's really cool. It's really important. But the way that we do trials is fundamentally broken. We see that 80% of clinical trials run behind schedule, which inevitably means they run behind budget, or over budget, I guess would be the term there. And a lot of the money that's spent on doing these trials is wasted. Close to a third of the money is not actually spent on the medical research directly, but on other things. So this is terrible performance. If you were running a project like this, normally your boss would say, yeah, you need to get out. But for this industry, unfortunately, it's normal. The problem is that we have really, really old, outdated ways of doing things. There's a contract research organization in Seattle, and their clinical director says that one of the biggest problems with clinical research is that we're at the cutting edge of science and the lagging edge of technology. It's bizarre. But the biggest research tool that we see is a 3-ring binder. For a lot of different reasons, and I'm not going to go into the details on it because it's 5 minutes, different elements of the research studies are printed and filed into these 3-ring binders. And because when you're doing a drug study or a device study, you're flying out to all these different hospitals to look at the data, to verify it, you have this gap of distance and time. And it's a huge, huge problem. To the extent of $2.2 million per year spent on any given trial on these processes. It's a huge amount of money relative to the gains that you get from it. And we like to call that last diagram the circle of no. But on a more serious note, it is a fundamental problem because these treatments are so expensive to develop or to deliver that it limits the ability to do certain studies, right? There's a strong bias towards drug studies that affect chronic conditions, that affect larger populations, because that's what's feasible to develop if you are a pharmaceutical company or a device company. So what we're hoping to do with our system is to make it better by eliminating a lot of the paper processes. We want to simplify. We have a cloud-based system that increases access to the hospital records on site. We basically kill the binder and replace it with a regulatory compliant cloud-based system. Since you guys are interested in technology, this is a quick overview of what our tech stack looks like. Essentially, we have a regulatory compliant data store that we use to keep data in the cloud and then to make it accessible off-site for the people who actually do the data quality control work. With our system, we expect that we can make very large impacts on the cost of these drugs and therefore make them a lot more affordable for people and help bring a lot of new drugs to market. In total, this market is about $7 billion, looking at just drug studies per year in the US. So this is actually a very, very big problem. And I'll close with a couple asks of the community. One, I really think this kind of clinical research is very important. And so if you ever have the opportunity to participate in a clinical trial, I strongly encourage you to do so. You don't have to have some crazy disease to be part of it. I was one time in a study about gummy bears preventing tooth decay. It was a type of sugar that was shown to be effective against tooth decay. So, don't be shy about it. It's really important for our society as a whole that these clinical trials happen. So volunteer. And then if you are working in clinical trials or know somebody who is, send them our way. Invio can help them. Thanks very much for your attention.
Questions, any questions?
Questions? In the back?
Yeah, so if I can just summarize it, you're like making it clinical trials go paperless and automated.
Yes, that's a big part of it, yep. Yeah, incentive there.
Don't the CROs have applications to support the process?
No, in short is the answer. So there's tools for collecting the data itself, but the data is transcribed into another system by the people who are on the hospital doing the work. When you're running these kind of studies, the hospital people aren't your employees, and so they see the data from elsewhere and then they transcribe it into a database. But because of the fact that we're basically dealing with an information science where you have a messy extraction process and then a data cleaning step that's done by people on both ends of the process, the regulatory infrastructure has sort of prevented access to those primary hospital records. So with this change, what we can do is actually store it in the cloud. There's some regulatory movement from FDA and some other things that I'd love to talk to you about if you're interested in. But yeah, you had a question?
Are you the repository for the data, or do you provide means to institutional repositories?
Sure. So we are the repository and we're the means. We're cloud-based, and so essentially we replace the 3-ring binders with a cloud-based version of that stores patient data, but also the regulatory operational documents for the site.
What percentage is open access of your data? What is open data?
None is. It's 0%. It's completely within, we're really focusing on private research, so drug and device companies that don't typically share the research of or share the results of a study that's ongoing. There are reporting requirements that they have to share that externally after the study's complete, but during study conduct, that belongs completely to that customer of ours.
One more question, please.
Last question.
What could we in the grassroots do to help you get traction on this, since I honestly think you could save a lot of lives with this?
Yeah, great question. And I think that just goes to our ask of if you know anybody who's participating in or who's involved in doing any kind of medical research, or you know any physicians who may be participating in research, send them our way. That's a big part of what this is about. So yeah, thank you.